You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with Daryl Riley Jr.
Yes, sir.
So, Daryl, tell me a little bit about yourself and what do you do professionally?
Professionally, I'm a supervisor for Yellow Cab and Metro Lift program in Houston, Texas. We basically pick up handicapped, disabled, mentally challenged, and elderly people and take them where they need to go.
And most people would see someone that was like handicapped or something as in the way. Like, I mean, how many times you go to a grocery store and people just are completely ignorant of someone that has a disability or something like that?
All the time. I mean, honestly, you would be amazed, like, at some of these people, like they dealing with their disability. They just have normal lives. Like they just want to go out. We take them to parties. We got a blind group that goes all over the city to restaurants, just different things. They just want to be normal.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I have a buddy that's in a wheelchair. I have a buddy who doesn't have the best vision. Like it's kind of like he just sees outlines and like shadows. But they don't want to be treated differently. They want to be acted just normally. Like my buddy will reach for his drink knowing that it's in front of him, even though he might not be able to see it like there. And I'll just move it a little bit farther from him. And he'd be like, "Did you just move my drink?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'll move it back as like a joke because he loves that. Because before he was like, you can see it from their perspective. You talk to them like they're different. You talk to them like they're an animal
Right.
or like a child.
Right.
And it's like they don't like that. You think, they're not idiotic, they're not dumb, they're not a 2-year-old or something. They just can't use their legs, you know?
Yeah, exactly. The main thing is they want to be treated equally. They don't want you to talk down to them or treat them any different than anybody else.
What types of things have you really learned? Like, I mean, it's got to be kind of difficult dealing with just helping people out. I mean, like loading them up into the bus or, doing stuff of this sort, because it is pretty tasking trying to help someone who really can't help themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person. Some people it's easier than others. They want you. They'll tell you what they need. They'll tell you how to help them. Most of them, I don't know. They know what to do. They'll tell you, "Hey, strap my chair right here," or they know the process. But we have some mentally challenged clients, and those are the most difficult because you kind of have to watch them a little more and treat them kind of like children. A lot of their minds is more like childlike.
Yeah, they're underdeveloped. To see, like I went to school for psychology. I was always fascinated with the human mind, but what I found was really fascinating was I read a book when I was in around like maybe probably junior year in English literature, and it was like you get to pick your own book. It was about a brother who had a little brother that was mentally disabled and how he hated his brother, but if anybody messed with his brother, he would step up and save his brother. And then I read the off tangent to that book from the brother's perspective, and it made me think of mental disabilities in a completely different way. We look at these people with a certain disability and we give them these boring, bland ass jobs like going to the grocery store and freaking that's all they can do is go get the shopping cart. How many times you see the
Right.
regular Food Lion or Walmart worker sitting in there in the nice warmth while the specially challenged person's outside pushing a shopping cart in the snow or hard rain. And
Right.
they're giving them the job they don't want to do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that happens a lot. We got a lot of clients that work at like fast foods and, restaurants, and they just basically do the cleanup, sweep the store and stuff like that.
It's crazy because you ever heard of what an idiot savant is?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you hear about that guy that was like mentally disabled, but they flew him over the New York skyline, and in 1 hour he was able to draw the whole New York skyline in extreme detail.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
There's a couple people out there. They call it idiot savant. It doesn't mean you have to be mentally challenged to have it. It just means that there's a large majority of the population that is mentally challenged that has this type of disorder. But it's something like you've ever heard like a kid that doesn't know how to like talk well, read well, do any of these types of things, basically labeled mentally disabled, but he can play the whole works of Beethoven on a piano.
Right. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I mean, our minds are these complicated little mystery gifts you get on Christmas where you open it up and next thing you know, it's just a bunch of socks. And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. I mean, our minds are the world's best computer, in my opinion.
Do you think it's because it gives us kind of an understanding and an interpretation to just the everyday kind of feedback we get from the world, whether we choose to let it push us down and kind of keep us a little bit in a negative light, or if we choose to look at the best aspects of it, like when it comes to nature, a breeze comes through and it brings a smell to the air, like a nice cooking of like a bonfire or something, the crackling of the wood, you hear those sounds and your brain responds to it in different ways. It's pretty like unexplainable.
Yeah. I don't even think, honestly, most of us have even unlocked the potential of what our brains can do. Because I've seen some amazing things from some of these people that you would not expect them be able to do. Like some of these mentally challenged people, they can't barely talk to you, but you show them like a math problem or something, and they're able to just, calculate, go to town, give you exact, precise, just with their head, no paper or pen or nothing. Just, wow, they got to the answer.
Do you think your job's humbled you in a way, just on the aspect of what it kind of gives you more of a gratefulness towards being at least functional or not having a severe disability?
Oh yeah, every day. I mean, like, because I honestly couldn't see how some of these people do it, but a lot of them amazingly have like the most amazing attitudes, and they're joyous, happy every time you see them, talk to them. So it's amazing.
I remember I got humbled one time because I was literally complaining about how my internet was out. So I go onto my own little spot, like Wi-Fi hotspot on my phone, and I see a video of a kid that has no arms or legs. He has to use his mouth to basically turn on the water, and then he has to I don't even know how he brushes his teeth. He's just got like a foot. And I'm like, I see that and I'm like, why am I complaining? Why am I worried about the internet being out? And this is the biggest problem in my life right now. When there's someone like this who is literally so carefree, so passionate about just living, that that's the best interpretation I've ever seen. Those people truly know what it means to be lucky to be, or even be happy to be alive.
Oh yeah, definitely. Every day it's very humbling just to see how they survive, how they live, their joy for just being alive. They're just happy to be here, basically.
It's crazy. There was this kid, I think he only had an arm, but he had no legs, and he had no, he had two arms, but he had no legs. But he wanted to be a wrestler, and they're like, you can't be a wrestler. He became one of the best wrestlers. Like, he was the championship for his school. He won all these titles because he used it to his benefit. Nobody could get him in leg locks because he didn't have any legs. Nobody could do these certain things. They didn't know what to do. He would just jump on him so fast. He was so quick. And people told him, like, you're not going to be able to do this because you can't do wrestling because you don't have legs. You don't have this. You can't do that. And then he's like, all right, well, I'm going to prove you wrong. And he stepped up and he accomplished it. Like, too many times nowadays, someone tells you you can't do something. The next thing you know, it's over with. Like you just stop, you give up.
Yeah, I mean, most of us just our mentality is if we don't have whatever our arm or leg or something, it's over. We can't do nothing. We're stuck in a wheelchair. But these people, some of them were born that way, and they just keep moving forward. I go to this recreation center where they play basketball and stuff in the wheelchairs, and they let me play with them. They had an extra chair, and I have great
They put you in the chair?
Yeah, they have like some extra chairs so able-bodied people can play with them, and they just make you look foolish. Like they like it was the hardest physical thing I've done. Like just trying to move the chair and shoot at the same time and stuff. It was crazy, but it was fun.
You're sitting there trying to go down the court, like go get the ball, and then you're sitting there spinning in circles. And
right? Yeah, they're
like, Daryl, what are you doing?
Yeah, they go in circles around me, basically. But it's fun. It's a good learning experience. So.
I thought it was always like strange. I was like, it must be fun rolling around in a wheelchair all day. And then I tried it, and I was like going in circles the whole time. I was like, this is fucking tasking. Like, I don't know how you deal with this on a daily basis.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's hard. It's not as easy as it seems. Like thinking all day, your arms. I mean, like just it's a lot of work. So.
It's
and some of them, they drive, so they go to their car. They know how to break the chair down, put it in their back seat, slide in, and go about their business and take care of stuff. So it's amazing.
I think it's the aspect you got to work with what you got in a way. I mean, I'm no Jason Momoa, so I'm not going to try to aspire to be Aquaman,
Right.
You're given these things in life, and sometimes it does get taken away, but you choose to let it hold you down. I try and tell people, like, there's this problem that's in front of you right now. Like maybe your phone died or something. You don't have the ability to look up on Instagram. Oh, the world's going to end. I was like, but there's people out there that don't even care for that at all. Like don't even have the notion, don't want to ever check their phone. I mean, I know people that get up super early in the morning, don't have the use of their legs. They get this little bike that is it's basically like kind of like a trike, but they're sitting in the bike, like not on like how you normally would, just like in like a little hammock type thing, and they use their arms to pedal.
Oh yeah. At the place that I was telling you about that I play basketball, they have those too. They'll let you try them and everything. Those are very interesting to ride those. But yeah, they ride them. I mean, just like you and me would ride a regular bike. So.
Do you find that they were more aggressive towards you when you were playing the game? Like you're sitting there trying to be like, let's just play basketball. And they're like, no, pass me the ball. Go. Hey, what are you doing? You missed. Like I've seen them play. They slam into each other. They do so much crazy stuff. You're like, whoa, this is more intense than an actual basketball game.
Oh, definitely. It's way more intense to me. But I mean, that's how they play. I don't think they treated me any differently or anything. But it was fun though.
So how did you decide to do this podcast? Like you have a podcast called What the Flippin'. So what is this podcast about?
I mean, it's basically a weekly summary of what I saw during the week. It could be news, it could be entertainment. And I'm just having a conversation. Usually I have a co-host or something with me, and we're just talking about current events and things. And I try to always have like a positive moment at the beginning of the show. And that's basically it. It could be anything random.
What types of things do you find that you kind of fascinate you about stuff that's going on in the world, or just stuff you kind of came across in your life?
On the show, I mean, I talk about politics and different things, but I mean, just the human psyche is very interesting to me. My brother is going to school for his master's degree in psychology, and I talk to him a lot. Just like I don't know, like the way society is set up, and the way most people just accept everything that's laid out in front of them is very interesting to me, because society's kind of set up to me to lead you on a certain path. Like, this is the way we think it's supposed to be. Here it is for you. Or even like religion. I consider myself Christian, but I do not agree with churches per se.
The problem is, it's just like society when it comes to religion. They force you to act a certain way. We're very oppressed people when it comes to trying to express ourselves. You know, we might have all these things of expression, but it's not true creativity. It seems like we try and half-ass it just to get a little bit of credit for ourselves. I mean, I started the podcast because I was like, why are people not having conversations anymore with a random stranger? They're not risking that chance. Or, you know, maybe this guy is a psycho killer. Well, we're about to find out in the podcast, you know? Nobody takes the time to talk anymore. You walk around, what's everybody hooked to that's right in front of their face?
Yeah. The phone is everybody's life. I mean, you could have people in a neighborhood nowadays and they don't know their neighbors and they've lived there for years and stuff. Like, we have no sense of community with anybody anymore.
There's a guy that lives right beside me, and I have not known, I've never even talked to him, never said hi to him for 6 years. The other day I said hi to him. I was like, how you doing, man? My name's Robbie. It's nice to meet you. He was like, yeah. He gave me his name, and then he was like, oh yeah, I'm a Mormon. I make stained glass. I'm like, what? You make what? He goes, you want to see my glass collection? I'm like, where is it? He goes, it's in my bathroom. And it's the first thing that popped into my head was, is this guy going to kill me? But then I was just like, wait a minute. I've lived next to you for 6 years. If you were going to kill me, you had plenty of other times to do it. So I was like, let's do it. He starts showing me every single thing of stained glass he has in his house. It is the most beautiful thing. And I would have never, ever known that if I would have never taken the shot just to walk over and say hello to the guy.
Just talk to somebody and say hello. Yeah. That's crazy.
I mean, as much as like kind of wisdomatic that kind of sounds, I do have the occasional thought when I see a person in a handicap scooter, if they really actually need it or not. And also, I don't like it when they just leave it like out in the parking lot when they walked all the way into the store to get it. And then it's like, you can't just drive it back and then walk out. But I get it. It's, you know, there are people that take stuff for granted, though, is the thing. Like, I've seen kids that can use their legs properly and they're just driving around in the scooter. The next thing you know, a person who actually has a type of handicap thing comes up and they don't have one there for them. I'm like, look, we want to be lazy so bad in a world where it's so easy to be lazy. Like, it aspires you to be the most productive, but that's not what we structure our lives on. We structure our lives on a gym that works 9 to 5, you know, and then when you come home, you go to sleep and then you wake up and do the same thing.
Exactly. Nobody likes to think outside of the box, or at least very few people do. On the disability thing, though, I just take it as, like, if I see people in that cart at the store, I just assume something's wrong. Because in my line of work, like, everybody's disability isn't something that you can just look at them and say, oh, they're fine or they're not fine. It just depends.
It's the reason why you can't ask somebody about a service dog. You're not supposed to say, like, why do you need that service dog? No business will do that because you never know what their affliction could be. You know, you can get sued over doing something like that. Now,
with the ADA and stuff,
I don't know if you know too much about the service dog thing, but like, I got my buddy's Newfoundland. We got him his service dog's license, supposed to be for emotional support. The thing is, it's a lot different than having a physical disability. Where a blind person needs a dog, you don't need to question that. But if a person says they suffer from depression, you're like, do you really, or did you just put a service dog vest on your dog?
Right. That's the issue nowadays. Especially, you got people that want to have their pet squirrel, their whatever type of animal nowadays, and say it's for emotional help and all that type of stuff. That's a little going too far to me. But
It's the weird part about people where we want attention, but we don't want the bad attention. We want, like, it's the guy that has a lizard on his shoulder or a snake on his shoulder and walks into a store. Like, why do you have that? Like,
right.
you want someone to question and someone to look at you a little bit and, bring up that attention part. Like, have you ever looked up the list of service animals you can get for like emotional or physical support?
No, I never looked at it.
One of the craziest ones is a wallaby. I don't know if you know what a wallaby is, but it's a baby kangaroo.
Yeah.
If you know anything about a kangaroo, is they're fucking aggressive.
Yeah.
And
they'll kick you.
I've podcasted with Australian people and they're like, we're worried about like sharks and stuff, but also if you come in contact with a kangaroo, you better be ready to fight because those things will box you. They literally get up on their hind legs and they start punching you in the face, like trying to like overhand Mike Tyson knock you out. Yeah. And I'm like, imagine a wallaby. And I looked it up and it's supposed to be the cousin of the kangaroo that's supposed to be like really, really passive. But it's nocturnal. So if you're trying to get sleep at night, that thing's just hopping around all over the place, not going to bed.
That's crazy. That's crazy. See, I mean, like, the emotional stress animals are just, I don't know. I guess it helps the people, but I know like a regular service dog, like say for one of our blind clients, those animals are incredibly trained, like the most well-behaved dogs, and some people have those little mini horses, but I've never really come across too many of those, but mostly dogs. But they're like so obedient. They don't bark. They just, perfectly trained.
Just imagine a non-trained service dog for a blind person. That dude would walk right into traffic. The dog wouldn't know what the hell to do. Yeah, exactly. You need to have that's where you have to shell out the money. Like you talk about, like, do you really need that expense? It's like, no, you need to make sure you're getting the proper service dog, especially if you're blind. It's crazy because they don't want you to pet them. They don't want you to do these certain things because it throws the dog off. And that dog is in literally like straight 100% like in tune to what he has to be doing. Like it's like training a child. Like a child at their developmental stages is like a ball of Play-Doh. Like you can morph it any way. Like that's where they learn languages at a younger age better and can learn, like you see kids nowadays that can speak 2 to 3 languages. Trying to teach an adult that, they're already stuck in their ways. They don't know their brain's already lost that capacity to kind of absorb that information in that short amount of time.
Right. Because talking on that, like my brother, he knows Spanish because when he was younger, his babysitter was Hispanic, and during the day when he was there with her and the other kids, she would talk mostly Spanish. So he just naturally caught on to it, like it was nothing, so he could speak it and understand it.
You're seeing more kids speak Spanish as a second language, not because of school, but because of the parents hiring a Spanish or Latino babysitter. And they speak it there around the house. And then the parents like, where did this come from? Why does my 6-year-old kid know perfect Spanish?
Yeah, exactly. It just became natural to him because he's so young, and he just picked it up naturally, like teaching him to talk regularly. So he just, and actually living in Houston, we're right here next to Mexico, so it comes in handy.
What's crazy is you talked about how you like the way kind of people, I guess, act and kind of the way they kind of like figure things out. But do you find more of a fascination when it comes to like maybe mental disability?
I don't know. Not really. I mean, like I'm interested in it because of my job and the things I've seen, but I'm more interested in like I don't know how to explain like the way people, like just go back to religion. Like most people are the religion they are because they were just brought up and told like hey, our family is Christian, so okay, I'm Christian. And, I always question, because my family is Christian, I always question, pastors and stuff. So what happens if a person is born as a Buddhist or any other religion? So do those people automatically go to hell based on our religious beliefs or whatever?
It's based on your cultural influence too. Like
Right.
a lot of what sticks down into psychology is based on theories, whether you believe in your environmental impact, you believe in your childhood development, you believe in your cultural references, you believe in your genetic. It all, you can't, when you're a good therapist, you can't really sit down and stick to one theory or one way of trying to diagnose somebody because everybody is so uniquely different.
Right. Right.
But like when it comes to religion, like if someone's born in another country, it's crazy. Like if someone's born in another country, they believe in something completely different that somebody can label them as wrong because
Right.
it doesn't follow their religion. And
Exactly.
like a lot of Christians and Catholics nowadays are pro-Trump for a lot of reasons. They have some good stuff, some bad stuff, but I think it's for the main reason of trying to stop immigration to this country, but only on the concept of immigration brings in other religions to our country. Back in the day, like when you were growing up, Christianity was the dominant religion. Being Catholic was a dominant religion. Nowadays, you're seeing Muslim, Judaism, all these other types of things that are becoming so more frequent now that Christianity is now losing a little bit of the popular vote. They're having a little bit of we're not the dominant religion anymore. There's actually more Muslims. There's more Latino culture here. So they're getting a different influence of this stuck to kind of ordained Christianity.
Right. Yeah. What we've had, me and some of my friends had some very crazy talks about religion and stuff. I had a train of thought and I just lost it. I was gonna ask you, what were we talking about yesterday?
I don't know. I wasn't there yesterday.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, it'll come back to me. Go ahead.
It's funny because I became an ordained minister under the United Church of Bacon only on the concept I fell in love with parody religions because they were cracking a joke at something that nobody really ever wants to crack a joke about. We see it too stigmatized, like never bring up religion in a conversation. I'm like, we give it that power when we do that. We make it that bad. When you don't bring up politics, you don't bring up something, you're choosing to let that be a stigmatized word or a stigmatized concept. It's just information. It's just something out there. You don't have to agree to it. You can listen to it. That's all it is. You have to decide on your own. I'm not anyway religious, but I understand religion. I think honestly, when you talk about religion, it comes down to this concept that I think of. Everybody is getting a piece of the big picture. Everyone's got a little puzzle piece trying to make it fit because every single religion hits on the same basis when it comes to the afterlife. We all talk about this place that if you do good, you go to this heavenly place.
Right. Yeah. Most of the religions are very similar in a lot of ways. It's just the particulars that are different. And I think the big thing about religion is it gives people hope. But in the world sense, I think religion is another form of control. It's just a way to control people.
It really is. Like when they pass around that bowl to kind of give a donation to, give a little feedback, I'm like, is this what we're focused on now? Like the world's already run like based on the concept of money is everything. So why do I have to donate in something I'm just supposed to believe in and hope that it's out there? I've talked to people that are hardcore religious that have been great motivated and just helped me out of a bad spot when I was really needing it, telling me like, just have faith, just have belief. And I'm hearing it. I'm like, that concept, I can't swallow. I'm sorry. I don't understand it yet, but I understand why they get it, because they experienced something. Like this woman I work with was giving me the best advice. She was like, you just need to believe in God. You need to fight your demons. And I'm sitting there like, okay. And she goes, I turned to faith when my husband became paralyzed.
Right.
And he was at a point of no return, and then he got better, and now he's still around today, and we still are having our moments together. Every day is a new experience. And I heard that, I was like, I get it. I get why you have belief out there. Like when people have a kid and they say, I saw God, I know he's real, because
Yeah.
there's that moment that I might experience, you might have in your life, that might make you chalk that up to some existential being or omnipotent force out there. But who's to say God's not Morgan Freeman? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about religion. Like I said, I think for most people, it just gives them that hope that there's something greater out there that they can cling on to get through their daily lives, whatever struggle, whatever, bad thing they're going to and everything. But I had one. I thought about what I wanted to ask you. You seem very, on point with stuff. So, what's your opinion on like the whole LBGQT, all of that stuff, and they just keep adding different things to it?
Well, if you're asking if I love Dave Chappelle's new comedy sketch, I really did. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. But I've talked to a transgender person. I'm 100% for like that form of it, of when it comes to you actually have an affliction,
Right.
But the problem is nowadays people automatically assume they have a problem. We're all hypochondriacs. We all look for, that's got to be it. That's got to be it. Okay, I need this.
Right.
Like, I don't believe you should be giving your kids hormone treatment therapy at the age of 6, especially like just
Right.
because that one day they say they feel like a boy. It's like,
Right.
do they really, or are they just a kid?
Right.
Diagnosing a kid with ADHD at the age of 4 or 5 and then medicating him at 4 or 5, like, okay, where are we drawing the line to where he actually has an affliction, or he's just a child that has energy? Like, let him go outside and play. When it comes to the LGBT community, I understand it, because everybody is uniquely different. Like the fact that I can hit my head a certain way, or some people are born with their brain wiring crossed, where pain feels good and good things feel bad.
Right.
Like I know some dude that sticks his hand on an oven and he loves the feeling because it feels good to him. It gives his brain the sense of like a dopamine rush that you would get if you were eating your favorite food. And
Wow.
I'm like, how do you handle that much pain? Some people do it because they like the pain aspect to it, makes them feel human. Okay, that makes sense. But when I try and hear all this stuff, I try and make my own understanding of it and see it from the person's perspective. The problem is you can tell when there's bullshit.
Right.
You can tell when someone's just looking for attention. You're like, what's wrong with you? And they're like, oh, it's because, are you making fun of me because I'm gay? I'm like, no, I just want to know why you think this way. And then they start talking like, you're not actually gay. You just want someone to ask you, and you want the attention aspect of it.
Yeah.
There's a point where you have to realize there's a line, like with comedy. Comedy's supposed to push that line. You're supposed to realize it's a joke. That doesn't mean attack him. That doesn't mean
Right.
make him lose his job or his career or something. When you paid for a fucking comedy show, you should understand he's going to say some comedy.
Exactly. I mean, comedy is basically social commentary in the first place. I mean, at least the best comics to me. But I mean, like it's just with the all of that stuff. Like my only problem or issue or non-understanding comes from like I seen like these new things pop up where people are like, I identify as a cat or just something off the wall to me,
It's
and they want to be included. They want like, we want our rights too, like
Yeah,
that's me like pushing up.
I experienced it when I went to college. There was now the professors, when they send out an email, it's not to he or she, it's to his, zer, zim, zer, ziz, zar, ziz, and it just goes on and
Yeah, the
on.
pronouns. Yeah.
And I don't believe that you should be like what they call gender fluid when you switch your gender every 2 minutes. I think you're making, like, even I've talked to transgender people, they say that's making fun of what we people who actually experience this and want to be somebody different. It makes it difficult for us to get what we need out here. And I'm like, it
Right.
does. If you start going around saying you're a fucking cat and all this stuff, I got it. Like, are you really a cat? Let me see you wear a cat collar and get on the ground and start acting like a cat.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
don't just use it because you can. Don't use it as that thing. It's like when it comes to being transgender, I think there is a problem. Like, there was a UFC fighter that did not disclose that he used to be a guy. So he was in the women's competition and he was beating the shit out of these women and did not disclose it.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I heard that. I was like, that's a problem. That's something that needs to be addressed. And he's like, why should I have to disclose it? Because I was like, because you lived 40 something years, you had 2 kids, and then you decided to be a woman. You got to highlight the aspect of now you're fighting actual women. Your bones are completely
Right.
different from them. So,
Exactly.
and then they go, well, then how do we fix that problem? I'll tell you, you make a special league for it. We have
Right.
a women's league. We have a men's league. Why can't we have a transgender league? We have bodybuilding competitions that go natural and unnatural. Why don't we have someone that's transgender? Why don't we have a transgender Olympics?
Right. Yeah. Because, yeah, you're right. Because that's a new category. Because, yeah, I mean, obviously he's a female now, but I mean, he still has a man's muscle structure, body, he's going to be stronger than most of the women. So, yeah,
Like you
that's
saw
crazy.
with Bruce Jenner, he flipped over to
Oh, yeah, yeah.
being a woman, and then now he wants to come back to being a guy because he realized that's not what he truly wanted. But he's already done so much damage to himself. He had his feet shaved down, he had his jaw shaved down, he had so much stuff, features changed, and then he was completely miserable because we see the concept of it, and I just go, we're all hurt. We're all looking for the easiest solution, something different to add to our boring and bland lives. And that's why people do something like that, and then they immediately regret it.
Yeah, that's weird because my daughter just told me a story about like something like that where it was a female and she got everything done to become a male, and then after a year or 2 of living that way, she was like, oh, I want to go back. And I was like, so did you really think this through? Because this is not a simple back and forth thing, like,
It's about
is it?
paying the price, man. Because
Yeah.
listen, the example you could use for that is you smoke cigarettes. 40 years later, you're paying the price. You're paying,
Right.
you can't breathe anymore. You can't do this. Like, you understand what it did to you? Like that, you paid the price. This is just a shorter way of getting there. Like, now it's like people,
Right.
like, you're seeing it like a month later after they're switched. They're like, I want to go back. I completely messed up. It's like, it's too late. You made the drastic decision and now you're paying the price sooner than you thought you would.
Right. Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, people need to get comfortable in their own skin. Like whatever it is that's bothering you, I mean, just get comfortable being you. Um,
You have to let your flaws show on your sleeve, to be honest with you. We choose to, hide our problems. We choose to push them under the carpet. I'm like, you can keep pushing back that roadblock, but it's always going to flip right back. It's actually going to push you back to the next problem, and then you're getting hit with double the problems.
yeah, I mean, You just have to deal with your problems head on. Like I try to tell my kids, like it's not gonna go away just because you want to act like it's not there. So I mean, like I think we have too many society like things that tell you you're supposed to be this way, you're supposed to look this way. A real man acts this way. A woman's supposed to do this, and people just gotta get comfortable and not worry about that and be themselves.
You said you had a fascination with religion. So what do you think about Scientology? You smiled, so you got something to say about Scientology.
I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Scientology, but I mean, the things that I have read on it just make no sense to me. I mean, like some religions to me is just like a person who decided, like, hey, I want to start a religion. We need to believe in something. I mean, like Scientology, it reminds me of like Star Wars or something. Like you have to have certain levels of
Star Wars.
I mean, because I say Star Wars because if you've watched Star Wars, like they went into this thing of everybody has these midichlorians that either give you access to the Force or you don't have access. And I feel like Scientology,
You don't have
like
enough. You don't have enough accommodations or medals or little
right.
call it badges on your Girl Scout uniform to be able to be this title. It's funny because if you ever seen Joe Rogan's podcast, he has one with Leah Remini, and she talks about Scientology and all the weird stuff about it. And she's you have to pay to advance in the church. You have to pay, like, make a amount of donations. Like, I think $2 million or something was enough to get a statue after you. Like,
oh, really?
What is going on?
So you could basically advance in the church if you have enough money, basically.
Yeah, that's why Tom Cruise is so powerful.
That's why, right.
It's crazy because they make you keep tracks of everyone that's in it. Like, did she drink at this party? Because you're not allowed to drink 48 hours before you go to a church sermon, and you're supposed to have a church sermon once every 2 days. So you're basically not allowed to drink, like, ever. And like, the show The Ranch?
Yeah. Yes.
You know why Danny Masterson was killed off?
Why?
Because he's a Scientologist.
Okay, so they didn't want to.
They raised it to him like, hey, you can't be acting this way. This is a bad idea, because they know that you're into Scientology, so you're now displaying a bad image to the church. So we can't have you act this way. And he left.
Yeah. Wow. See, I mean, no offense to any Scientologists out there, but I really don't even consider them a real church. They're borderline a cult or something,
It's hard to see. Like, they do have the aspect of being a cult when it comes to the concept of they're literally this force that is like, give us money and you'll progress. But, if it's not enough, we're going to basically give you nothing. And they want you to act a certain way. They force you to keep tabs on other people. They had this one dude that's in his 80s. He's a grandfather, and he's never seen his grandkids because he's not allowed to talk to his family anymore, because when he left Scientology, they made his family just totally disconnect from him. He had to disconnect from his own kids that he's known like since they were born. And it's like, you hear that and they're still not talking to him today. He's never met his grandkids. How much pain he goes through, because they just sit there and lie. The Scientologists just lie about the guy's family. Like, it's hard to hear that.
Yeah, that's crazy, because I hear it's hard to break away from them. Like you're saying, he can't see his family. That's crazy.
You got to think of the concept. You said it best yourself. It's all about control.
Right.
We all want control over somebody else when we don't even have control in our own lives.
Right. Yep, that's the way our society's set up.
that's the way the cookie crumbles, my friend.
Yeah,
I'm
that
just
is
saying
true.
we all need to live this simplistic lifestyle and just say, do what you want to do. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, it's not a problem. Don't need
Right.
to control people. I was like, it's not hard to talk about religion. It's not hard to talk about politics. You make it more difficult because you're afraid to express yourself and you don't ever agree with someone. It doesn't mean it needs to turn into an argument. It just means you have to sit there and see both points of view, but no one ever wants to see the other side.
Oh, yeah. No one, like, yeah. Most people, to me, I always say people go through their life with blinders on. If you see like horses, they have those blinders on their, the size of their
Yeah.
eyes, so they only see forward. And that's how most people go through life. They don't want to see anything but their own perspective on how things are.
We're living disconnected with the world of social media, man. And it's getting worse and worse, I think, every single day. It's funny. The topic always rolls into the podcast about society and what people think and how people judge others. And I'm like, this is what we based ourselves on. We look to celebrities as our role models instead of looking towards innovative people, like where you would look at, you know, Leonardo da Vinci, or you would look at some president, this glorified figure. Now you're investing all your time into Tom Cruise, Jason Momoa, all these people that
Yeah,
they're just people. You got to understand
right.
people have flaws. So when they mess up, you're like, Superman did what? You're like, no, stop. We need something that is not in has the real humanistic aspect to it, because humans have faults, and that's what makes us so damn unique.
Exactly. Yeah, especially in America, our culture is a celebrity worshiping culture. Like, that's the number one thing. Like, you see on the news before you see anything else. You see so and so did this, or you see something about the royal family, which I understand the history of the royal family, but they serve no purpose whatsoever.
The fact that
Uh,
there is still one is a little bit weird, because didn't we disband that because kings and queens, it was bad to look at one person and be like, why is he on a throne? Why does he have all of this? I'm like,
right,
why do we still have these concepts and notions? Why don't we just learn that people are all people? It says it the best in the movie The Big Lebowski. Just abide. Just abide. It's so
right,
simple, just to be like, sorry, man, that's not me, and walk away. It's not difficult.
right.
You don't need to attack the person. You don't need to freak out. It's just simple. People think differently than you. People act differently than you. So why are you going to try and conform them to you?
Exactly. Like, everybody shouldn't have to conform to a certain way or a certain, like, it's okay that we all think differently. That's what makes the world great, is that we're not all the same.
Yeah, like my buddy loves making IKEA furniture. I fucking hate it.
Really.
So it's like, he enjoys that, but I understand, like, I'm not going to change him because that's what he enjoys to do. So it's like, it's so simple. Next time you come across someone in your everyday life that is a problem or something like that, just understand that's that person. It's not you. It doesn't mean you have to yell at them and correct them. It just means, hey, man, I don't want to be like that, so I'm not going to be like that.
Right. And I don't know. I don't know why people can't let people just be them. Like, everybody feels the need to, oh, you're doing it wrong. You got to do it my way, or this is the proper way to be. This is the proper way to act. And it's just crazy. Like, we're not robots.
We want to be people that are the same. We don't want to be the minority ever. We want to be, comfortable around people that are exactly like us, look like us, dress like us, talk like us. But then when someone different comes in, someone like an immigrant, we get scared because it's different. And we got to understand that's something we all need to look at and recover from, because honestly, difference is what makes us probably a better nation, a better world.
Right. Difference is the spice of life. Like, I have friends from every walk of life, or at least a good amount of different types of religions and everything. And the best thing to me is just conversations. Like, you learn so much about a person just by talking to them, you know, instead of assuming that you know how they are or what they think like or whatever, or just being, you know, like I hate groups. I hated like high school where everybody has like their groups. We got to be around the people that are exactly like me, you know. Like we just need to come together and experience everybody's differentness and embrace it.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. Look, Daryl, I appreciate you doing the podcast, man. I know it was kind of out of the blue, but that's what we
Yeah,
call out of the blank. You know, we're just
right.
randomly popping in your inbox or randomly popping in your mail like that unwanted magazine.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, man. I subscribe to you on YouTube, so
Thanks,
I'll
dude.
be listening.
I appreciate it. I want to give you a minute here at the end to kind of promote your podcast because I want people to look up your awesome content.
Okay. Yeah, it's What the Flipping. Um, it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I do have a YouTube channel called Flipping TV, and I will be uploading some content kind of that's going to be kind of some sketch comedy and stuff like that will be on the YouTube channel. But yeah, check me out.
Cracking humor and a life of just conformed notions. I love it.
Yeah. Yes, sir.